Someone out there, they're scared. Funny, isn't it? Scared of you, not your words, not your laugh, not your face, but something deeper, something they caught glimpses of, something lurking in the corners of who you are, something they weren't ready to see. They're trying to ignore it, laugh it off, pretend it doesn't exist, but they can't. Oh no, it won't let them. It's in the way you move, the way you breathe, the way you carry the weight of yourself through the world. They sense it, even if they don't understand it. That quiet, subtle power that hums under your skin, that refuses to be hidden. Fear often arises from recognizing untamed strength in others, and it's a curious, almost poetic phenomenon when you really stop to think about it. Most people think fear comes from danger, from threat, from something obvious smashing into their lives like a hammer. But the truth, the delicious, unsettling truth, is that fear often starts quietly, with a glance, a thought, a flicker of understanding. It begins when someone looks at you and sees something in you that doesn't fit their neat little boxes, something wild, something that doesn't obey their rules. And that's terrifying. Oh, it's terrifying in ways words can barely touch. You see, people are trained to fear what they cannot tame. Society hands them manuals, instructions, and guidelines on how to measure, judge, and contain what's around them. But untamed strength, real, raw, authentic strength doesn't come with a manual. It doesn't follow the predictable patterns. It doesn't line up neatly with expectations. It moves, it twists, it surprises. And when someone recognizes that in you, their mind jolts, their heart skips a beat, their stomach tightens. They feel the pull of it, the presence of it, even if they can't define it. Fear is their reaction, and it's almost instinctual because the human mind is wired to respect power, even when it can't understand it. And the funny thing is, the strength doesn't even have to be loud. It doesn't have to roar or brandish a weapon or announce itself. No. Untamed strength often hides in subtlety, in the way you carry yourself, the calmness in your eyes, the measured way you respond to chaos while everyone else is panicking. It's in the quiet confidence, the invisible magnetism, the way your presence bends the atmosphere around you. People pick up on it subconsciously. They can't help it. They feel it in their bones before they even process it with their minds. And that feeling it scares them. It awakens something primal, a reminder that they aren't in control, that they are not the center of the universe. Fear born of recognizing strength is not rational. It doesn't follow logic or reason. People can't always explain why a single interaction, a glance, a movement of your hand makes them uneasy. Their words stumble. Their smiles falter, their posture shifts. They may try to rationalize it. Call it coincidence, call it imagination, call it overreaction, but deep down they know. That recognition has lodged itself in them, twisting and pulsing, a tiny storm they can't shake. And the more they try to suppress it, the stronger it becomes, because fear feeds on denial, on obsession, on the very act of noticing something beyond their understanding. And here's the delicious irony. They fear you not because you are threatening, but because you are authentic. They fear you because you are untamed, uncontrolled, unwilling to conform to their expectation. They fear you because in your freedom, your self-possession, your unpredictable vitality, you reflect something in them they have buried, ignored, or denied. The parts of themselves they keep hidden, the courage they've buried, the chaos they've subdued, all of it stares back at them when they see your strength. And they are afraid because that reflection is unrelenting, unforgiving, impossible to ignore. It's fascinating to observe. Their eyes flit, searching for an anchor, a reason, a way to diminish what they cannot diminish. They test boundaries, probe weaknesses, whisper rumors, make jokes, but nothing pierces the essence they have glimpsed. You become an unspoken measure, a standard they cannot erase. And every interaction, every subtle reaction reinforces the awareness that this presence, the untamed strength they recognized, cannot be tamed, cannot be predicted, cannot be contained. Strength recognized in another shifts the dynamics of the world around it. People tiptoe, they hesitate, they second-guess themselves. Conversations become cautious, movements calculated, emotions restrained. Fear becomes a silent companion, an invisible cord pulling at the edges of their attention, demanding that they watch, that they listen, that they measure. And all of it originates from a recognition so simple, so profound, so terrifying, that someone else possesses a force they cannot command, a spirit they cannot cage, a mind they cannot fully understand. And in this you realize the power of being untamed. It's not just in action or words, but in presence, in consistency, in authenticity, in refusing to dilute yourself to soothe the fragile nerves of others. Fear follows you not because you threaten them physically, but because you threaten their comfort, their assumptions, their small, orderly understanding of the world. And when someone fears what they recognize in you, it's not hatred, it's awareness, a trembling acknowledgement that untamed strength exists, and it refuses to be ignored. People notice the parts of you they cannot control or predict. And isn't that just deliciously unsettling? Most of the time, the world loves predictability. People love to label, categorize, measure, and assume. It gives them comfort. It gives them a sense of power. They want life in neat little boxes where every reaction, every thought, every movement can be anticipated, scheduled, and explained. But you aren't in a box. You aren't a predictable pattern. You move with a rhythm they cannot follow, think in ways they cannot anticipate, feel in ways they cannot understand. And that unsettles them in a way they cannot shake. The parts of you they cannot control are the ones that make them uncomfortable, because control is an illusion they cling to. It doesn't matter how small the detail is, your silence at the right moment, a smile that hints at something deeper, the way your gaze lingers just long enough to make them question themselves, they notice it. Every subtle defiance, every unpredictable choice, every decision made without their input becomes a tiny quake in their carefully constructed sense of order. They try to rationalize it, to pretend it doesn't matter, to laugh it off, but the seed of unease has already planted itself in their minds. And the unpredictable parts? Oh, they terrify them. The way you turn ordinary moments into something extraordinary. The way your mind twists possibilities they never imagined. The way your reactions aren't bound by their expectations. People are trained to react, to predict, to plan around patterns. When you break the pattern, even slightly, it throws them off balance. It rattles their perception of reality. Their world feels suddenly unstable, and they don't know why. That instability is intoxicating for you and alarming for them. It's a quiet, invisible power, one that makes them wary without ever fully realizing the source of their discomfort. There's a funny thing about human nature. They fear what they cannot grasp. They fear what cannot be neatly explained. When they see a piece of your mind or spirit that operates outside the confines of their understanding, it challenges their assumption. It questions their sense of security. It forces them to confront the fact that not everything is theirs to command. And the more they try to measure it, the less they understand. The more they try to explain it, the more it slips through their fingers. Your unpredictability becomes a mirror to their limitations, and mirrors have a nasty habit of making people squirm. Even small actions become amplified. The tilt of your head, a pause in conversation, a gesture that seems insignificant to you, resonates in ways you cannot fully see, but they feel immediately. Their brains race to fill the gaps, to rationalize, to control the narrative, but it's a futile effort. They can't predict you, and in that unpredictability there is power. And power is terrifying when it's not something they hold. They can't force it, can't manipulate it, can't anticipate it. They are left with a gnawing awareness that something essential in you belongs to no one but yourself. And that awareness changes their behavior. They are cautious. They hedge their words. They second-guess every interaction. They overanalyze the smallest signals. Every glance, every tone, every reaction is measured against an invisible yardstick. What does this mean? What is she thinking? Why did he do that? Their attention is consumed, not by fear of harm, not by a tangible threat, but by a recognition of something they cannot dominate. That recognition is a quiet, potent form of power, and they feel it constantly in your presence. even if they cannot articulate it. It's fascinating, really, to watch the human mind struggle against unpredictability. They want to define you, to understand you, to control the elements they glimpse. But the more they try, the more they stumble, because the parts of you they notice are inherently free, inherently unbound, and freedom is contagious. Unbound energy, untamed thought, authenticity, they all provoke reflection, hesitation, sometimes fear. And as they hesitate, as they stumble, you move, act, breathe, exist in a space that is unclaimed, unchallenged, unstoppable. And here's the cruel beauty of it. They notice you more than they admit. They notice every inconsistency in the way you move through their expectation. They notice every defiance, every break in pattern, every moment you act outside the realm of their control. And it gnaws at them quietly, subtly, like a rhythm beneath their consciousness that they cannot ignore. You don't need to shout. You don't need to prove yourself. The recognition alone carries weight, and it's weight that they cannot lift. It makes you larger in their minds than reality ever could, because unpredictability is a force they cannot master, a storm they cannot calm, a power they cannot contain. And as they struggle to grasp it, to name it, to anchor it, you simply continue. You continue being the one variable they cannot calculate, the one element that slips through their formulas, the one presence that refuses to be boxed, labeled, or predicted. And in that refusal, they feel the pull of something they can neither understand nor command. The undeniable truth that control is an illusion, and you are proof of it every time you breathe, every time you move, every time you exist outside their expectation. The smallest glimpse of truth can unsettle even the confident. And isn't that a delicious little paradox? People walk around believing they understand the world, that they have grasp on reality, that they know enough to feel safe. They craft identities, facades, careful masks that hide the cracks, the shadows, the chaos beneath. And then just a flicker, a twitch, a glance, they catch a glimpse of something real, something raw, something undeniable. It's never loud. It's never announced. It sneaks in sideways, uninvited, and suddenly the foundation they built starts to feel wobbly. Truth has a way of sneaking past defenses. People think they are prepared, that their logic, their experience, their perception can filter everything they encounter. But it doesn't, not really. The smallest detail, the quietest moment, the seemingly insignificant action can act as a keyhole into a deeper reality. And once it enters, it rattles their balance. They feel the tremor before they understand the cause. Their mind begins spinning scenarios, questions, doubts, because something they had dismissed or ignored now refuses to be ignored. It's disarming, this thing called truth, because it doesn't ask permission. It doesn't knock politely. It doesn't wait for them to be ready. It just exists, and existence can be terrifying. Even the most confident people are not immune. Confidence is a fragile armor, a carefully cultivated mask that shields them from the uncertainty of their surroundings. But the glimpse of truth slices through the illusion like a blade. Suddenly, the certainty they carried feels brittle, hollow, like paper trying to hold back a storm. They start noticing inconsistencies, contradictions, shadows where light should be. The world tilts slightly, unnervingly, and they realize that things aren't as neat, as tidy, as predictable as they thought. That's when the smallest glimpse becomes a detonator. Their equilibrium fractures in silence, and the panic, the doubt, the unease creeps in slowly, insidiously, growing like a shadow in a room with the lights dimmed just enough for them to lose control. People underestimate the impact of what seems minor, a pause, a glance, a gesture. They assume it is meaningless, that it will not disrupt their perception. But perception is a fragile construct, a delicate narrative we tell ourselves to survive the chaos of reality. When truth pierces that narrative, even in the tiniest sliver, it destabilizes. The confident stumble because their confidence was never complete, never absolute. They were balancing on assumptions, on illusions, on what they thought they knew. And when reality peaks through just a fragment, it rattles them more than disaster ever could. It's the small truths, the almost invisible realities, that cut deepest because they reveal not just the world, but themselves, and they are forced to confront what they've buried, ignored, or avoided. And isn't it fascinating how fear intertwines with curiosity at that moment? The glimpse of truth terrifies, yes, but it also captivates. It forces them to look closer, to question, to explore. Even as they wish they could turn away, their mind races to understand, to contain, to rationalize. They try to dismiss it, but dismissing becomes impossible because the spark is alive, flickering, demanding acknowledgement, confidence, pride, ego. They all falter under the weight of recognition. And in that faltering, you see something raw, unpolished, real. The subtlety of truth is its most dangerous weapon. Loud, obvious truths can be resisted, argued against, even ignored. But small, quiet revelations infiltrate the psyche. They creep into thoughts, seed doubt, create uncertainty, and fester into tension. And that tension transforms people, reshapes their calculations, shifts their behavior without them realizing it. They become cautious, tentative, second-guessing every action and word because the glimpse they caught continues to haunt them. It becomes a lens through which they see the world differently, forever altered by a fragment of reality they cannot unsee. Confidence becomes a fragile dance. People try to mask their uncertainty, to act as if nothing changed, to hide the tremor in their voice, the hesitation in their gestures, the rapid beat of awareness in their chest. But even the smallest crack betrays them. The world notices, or maybe it doesn't, but they feel it. And in that feeling, the truth exerts power disproportionate to its size. A momentary insight, a fleeting perception, a minor revelation, it is enough to unsettle the strongest, the bravest, the most composed, because it exposes what they cannot fully control themselves. And this is the beauty and terror of subtle truth. It doesn't announce itself with banners or fanfare. It arrives quietly, unexpectedly, but its impact is explosive. Confidence wavers, certainty shatters, and the foundations of perceived control crumble without warning. And all of it begins with the tiniest glimpse, the smallest observation, the faintest recognition that there is more beneath the surface than anyone dared to admit. It's quiet, it's invisible, it's relentless, and it cannot be ignored. Fear reveals itself in subtle gestures and behaviors, the things people think they can hide, the little cracks they believe go unnoticed, the tremors in their voice, the flicker of hesitation in their eyes. Most people imagine fear as loud and dramatic, a scream in the night, a panic that shatters everything around it. But the truth is far more interesting. Fear is delicate, sly, insidious. It slips into small spaces, hides in the microseconds between words, drapes itself over their posture, and nestles into the pauses they cannot control. It is quiet, yes, but it is relentless. Impossible to ignore if you know what to look for. Consider the way someone shifts in a chair, just slightly, when you enter a room. They don't think you notice, but their body betrays them. The way they hesitate before speaking, the way their hands twitch, the subtle tightening of their jaw. These tiny movements are louder than any shouted warning. People think they can mask fear with words, with humor, with overconfidence, but their bodies always tell the truth. And the beauty of it is that you don't need to force the revelation. You simply observe. You don't speak. You don't act. You exist in the space, and the fear slowly leaks through like a shadow creeping over a wall, casting long, uncomfortable shapes that twist the air around them. Fear loves subtlety because subtlety is believable. A person who panics loudly can be dismissed, avoided, or laughed off. But a person whose fear is masked in tiny behaviors, slight delays, control, breathing, micro-expressions creates doubt, uncertainty, tension. The observer doesn't know exactly why the other is afraid, only that they are. And uncertainty, my friend, is a delicious little chaos. It makes people question themselves, their actions, their assumptions. It plants the seed that not everything is safe, not everything is understood, and certainly not everything is under control. And isn't it fascinating how quickly these small gestures amplify? One nervous glance can spread tension across a room. One tiny hesitation can make others second guess their words, their steps, their choices. Fear doesn't exist in isolation. It infects, it ripples, it bends the energy of a space, and suddenly you are the quiet storm in the middle of it. People begin to act differently around you without knowing why. They are adjusting, compensating, calculating, reacting to signals they barely recognize. And all you have to do is remain steady. That steadiness, the calm, unshaken presence is what magnifies their fear, because it contrasts so starkly with the tremors they cannot hide. Even confidence itself can betray them. They try to speak boldly, move decisively, laugh convincingly, but fear undermines all of it. It lurks beneath the surface, invisible, waiting to betray them at the precise moment they thought they were in control. The more they try to suppress it, the more it bubbles, leaking out in gestures too small to be caught by the unobservant. And when you notice these things, when you read the subtle cues, the world begins to shift around you. Their tension becomes your advantage. Their unease becomes a language you understand fluently, a code they cannot erase. Fear also teaches patience. Oddly enough, you learn to watch the minute details, the tiny betrayals, the slight deviations from normal behavior. You don't rush, you don't force it, you wait. Because fear's subtlety works against them as surely as any weapon. They will expose themselves if you allow the tension to grow, if you let the silent pressure mount. Every micro-expression, every shiver of hesitation, every fleeting glance is a revelation, and it's yours to read. Their fear is a map, and you are the navigator, moving through the currents they cannot see, understanding directions they cannot follow. And the incredible thing about subtle fear is its persistence. Loud fear fades, panic dissolves. But subtle fear lingers. It burrows into thoughts, it colors perceptions, it makes people second-guess not only themselves, but the world around them. They become cautious, calculating, hesitant. Even the confident stumble because the mind is wired to detect unease, to respond to signals that something is not right. And when the source of that unease is you, silent, steady, untouchable, it creates a tension that cannot easily be resolved. This is why the subtle gestures and behaviors are far more revealing than any overt confession. They are honest. They are immediate. They are uncontrollable. Fear cannot hide from someone who is truly observing. And as you watch, as you absorb the shifts in posture, the twitches of hands, the flickers of eyes, you realize that fear is not an interruption, it is a tool. A map, a language, a pulse that beats in rhythm with the tension you create simply by existing in the space and noticing what others cannot hide. It is delicate, invisible, and entirely yours to interpret, wield, and understand. Recognition of power can provoke both awe and anxiety, and isn't that a fascinating contradiction? People are drawn to strength like moths to a flame, mesmerized, captivated, yet at the same time terrified of what it might consume. When someone glimpses true power unrestrained, unapologetic, undeniable, they don't just see it. They feel it. It presses against their consciousness. It reverberates in their bones. It seeps into the corners of their mind where they thought themselves safe. Awe and anxiety swirl together. A cocktail both intoxicating and paralyzing, because power is a force that cannot be ignored and cannot be contained, especially when it exists outside of their control. People often misunderstand this reaction. They think admiration is a pure thing untainted by fear. But fear is always there, a shadow trailing closely behind awe. The more raw and untamed the power, the more visceral the response. They can't articulate why their heartbeat quickens, why their thoughts scatter, why their gaze lingers longer than intended. They are caught in the tension of wanting to step closer, to understand, to bask in the energy, and simultaneously wanting to retreat, to hide, to convince themselves it isn't real. And that contradiction, it's delicious, really, because it makes them unpredictable, fragile, human in a way that is fascinating to witness. Power is not just physical. It is presence, perception, subtlety, a force that shifts the air around it. People feel it in the way someone walks into a room, the way they speak, the way their calmness remains unshaken even as chaos swirls. They feel it in the confidence that refuses to apologize, in the gaze that measures without judgment, but with quiet understanding, in the energy that bends the reactions of everyone near it. And when they recognize it, their world tilts slightly. They notice it in the small, almost imperceptible details, a pause in conversation, a controlled smile, the way attention naturally gravitates toward the source. These are the marks of power they cannot ignore, marks that inspire both awe and fear, because they signal that this force is real, formidable, and beyond their command. And the anxiety is exquisite. It comes not from physical threat, not from immediate danger, but from the recognition that control is an illusion, that someone exists who refuses to bend to expectation, who moves unpredictably, yet purposefully, who doesn't need their approval to exist fully. Anxiety builds in the gaps between admiration and understanding, in the answered question, in the uncertainty of how to interact without tripping over invisible boundaries. People start overthinking, overanalyzing, trying to predict responses, trying to catch up to a rhythm they cannot follow. Their confidence falters, even if they are unaware of why. Because true power exposes the limitation of perception and comprehension in ways that's subtle, quiet, invisible yet insistent. There's also a strange magnetism at work. People are drawn to it, irresistibly. Because strength and authenticity are rare, they sense the difference between someone performing confidence and someone who simply embodies it. They feel the pull toward understanding, toward being near it, toward seeing if they too can access even a fragment of that energy. But that same magnetism comes with a warning. It unsettles, it challenges, it reminds them of what they lack, what they hide, what they suppress. It forces self-reflection, whether welcomed or not, and that reflection carries a bite. They are made aware of the contrast between their own limitations and the effortless presence they witness, and that awareness is uncomfortable, raw, and deeply human. Power recognized in this way has a ripple effect. It shifts conversations, interactions, decisions, and movements. People adjust around it unconsciously, testing boundaries, gauging reactions, measuring their own behavior in ways they wouldn't if the force weren't present. Their admiration tempers their fear, but fear always lingers, like an echo in the room, reminding them that some things are untouchable. That balance of awe and anxiety creates tension, and tension is energy, and energy is attention, focus, a magnetic current they cannot resist feeding into, even as it humbles them. And isn't that the exquisite cruelty of it? Recognition of real power leaves no one unchanged. Even the confident stumble, even the self-assured hesitate, even those who think themselves masters of social interaction feel the shift underfoot. It's subtle, almost invisible, yet palpable, a vibration in the environment, a pull in the mind, a pressure in the chest that cannot be ignored. The power itself doesn't need to speak, to act, to prove anything. Its recognition is enough to command awe, provoke anxiety, and unsettle the equilibrium of everyone who notices. And in that mix, the tension between fascination and fear grows, deepens, thrives. People may not even know why they are captivated, why they are on edge, why they cannot look away, why their thoughts are pulled toward the presence that unsettles them so completely. But they feel it, undeniably, like a shadow that moves with them, like a pulse that echoes long after the moment has passed. Recognition of power is not passive. It demands response, and the response is always complex, tangled, unpredictable. Because awe and anxiety cannot exist in isolation. They feed each other, amplify each other, and leave the observer in a state of perpetual tension, aware, alive, and unsettled in ways that are fascinating to witness. Presence and authenticity can silently influence those around you, and it's a subtle, insidious kind of power that most people never even realize exists. The world loves noise, spectacle, declaration, the loudest voice in the room, the grandest gestures. But real influence doesn't always shout. It creeps, seeps, pulses quietly from someone who is fully themselves, who moves through space untethered by expectation, untangled from performance. It isn't about dominance, it's about resonance. People feel it, even if they cannot name it. It's in the way your confidence bends the energy of a room. in the way a single glance or pause can make others second-guess their own presence, their own words, their own assumption. Authenticity is electric, subtle, and relentless. Most people spend their lives performing, adjusting masks to fit the eyes of the world, bending and shaping themselves to be acceptable, digestible, predictable. But someone who is unapologetically real, who exists in accordance with their own rhythm, disrupts that carefully maintained order. Their presence is a silent jolt, a pulse under the skin, a vibration that awakens recognition of what is authentic, uncontainable. People feel it instinctively. They may try to rationalize it, dismiss it, laugh it off, but it lingers, lingering in the spaces between words, between thoughts, between breaths, until it cannot be ignored. And influence thrives in that space. It doesn't need commands, instructions, or authority. Influence is the quiet gravity that draws attention, that shifts focus, that bends perception without a single word. Someone authentic doesn't have to convince. The truth of their existence convinces on its own. People adjust around it instinctively, consciously, or unconsciously, because the energy of authenticity demands recognition. It shapes interactions, guides decisions, bends attention, and all the while, it remains unassuming, silent, almost invisible. Presence is a language, not the language of words, of speeches, of arguments, but the language of being. It is in posture, in breathing, in the stillness that suggests depth. It is in timing, in hesitation, in the pause before a movement that says, without saying that you are here, you are aware, and you matter. People respond to it because it communicates without interference. They sense the rhythm of your awareness and measure themselves against it, adjust, calibrate, react, without ever knowing why. Influence through presence is insidious, because it is untraceable, untouchable, undeniable. And isn't it fascinating how people underestimate it? They chase the flashy, the loud, the spectacular, assuming that influence comes from speech, performance, spectacle. But influence rooted in authenticity doesn't clamor for attention. It doesn't compete. It doesn't boast. It simply exists, and everything around it bends imperceptibly to accommodate, to respond, to reflect. It's subtle. It's quiet. It's insidious. It grows in strength because it cannot be resisted, only noticed and noticing. Itself creates ripple effects that no amount of conscious effort can counter. Presence teaches patience. It teaches observation. It teaches the power of restraint, because subtlety requires understanding timing, spacing, and energy. A glance held too long becomes intrusive. A pause misjudged becomes awkward. Every movement matters, every micro-expression, every nuance of tone, every slight adjustment in rhythm carries weight. Those who master it, those who wield authenticity as influence, create waves without making a sound, move mountains without swinging a hammer, and shape perception without uttering a single syllable. The impact is cumulative. Every interaction builds resonance. Every micro-expression, every deliberate silence, every enforced confidence adds to an invisible weight, a gravitational pull that draws attention and bends behavior. People may not be aware of why they react differently, why they pause, why they hesitate, why they adjust their words or their posture, but the influence is real, persistent, undeniable. Authentic presence rewrites the unspoken rules of the environment, shifting dynamics without confrontation, without threat, without drama. And here lies the beauty and danger of it. People cannot resist it. They are compelled to notice, to respond, to adapt, to reflect, whether consciously or unconsciously. And because it is subtle, because it is quiet, because it does not announce itself, it often leaves those influenced questioning themselves, questioning their own reactions, questioning the source of the unease or admiration that blooms quietly in their awareness. Influence through authenticity doesn't demand attention. It harvests it, bends it, reshapes it, and grows stronger with each unnoticed, unremarked, unresisted ripple it creates, because it works in silence, invisibly, irresistibly, and endlessly. That hidden aspect of character often carry the greatest impact. And isn't that just deliciously ironic? People spend so much time showing the parts of themselves they think are acceptable, digestible, manageable, like they're curating a gallery for. Public inspection, polishing surfaces, masking edges, pretending that every moment is neat and intentional. But the real force, the true gravity, the parts that leave traces and cracks in the minds of others. You know, people like to think they're in control. They wake up, make their little plans, take their little steps, thinking they know where they're going. But the truth is, control is an illusion. You ever seen a man lost in a storm? He runs left, he runs right, but the wind just laughs and throws him where it wants. That's life. That's fate. That's him playing his little game. You see, people love to believe they're in control. It's funny, really. They wake up, stretch their arms, look in the mirror and tell themselves, today I decide. Ha! Like the world's just waiting for their permission. Like the universe gives a damn about their schedules, their little routines, their carefully drawn maps. But deep down, deep where the fear lives, they know. They know they're just a speck in the grand design, a pawn that thinks it's a king, and that's where the joke begins. You ever watch a man who thinks he's got it all figured out? He walks with a little bounce, chest puffed out, convinced he's got the answers. He's got the job, the house, the car. Oh, he's a real somebody. But then, just like that, life pulls the rug. A little crack in the perfect glass of his world. Maybe it's a missed promotion. Maybe it's a phone call in the middle of the night. Maybe it's something smaller. He drops his coffee, spills it all over that fancy little suit. And suddenly, the illusion shatters. The truth seeps in. He's not steering the ship. He never was. That's the thing about people. They love to pretend. They love to build these sand castles of certainty, convinced the tide isn't coming for them. But it always comes. Always. And when it does, the look on their faces. That moment when realization sets in, when they see just how little say they actually have. That's the punchline. That's the twist in the story they never saw coming. People talk about free will. Free will? That's rich. Tell me, did you choose where you were born? Did you choose your parents? The school you went to? The street you grew up on? No. That was all decided for you. Before you even took your first breath, the game was already rigged. The dice were rolled, and yet here you are, walking around thinking you've got the controller in your hands. It's cute, it really is. You ever see a man in a casino? He throws his chips down, rolls the dice, and smiles like he's the one in charge, like he's got the magic touch. But the house? Oh, the house always wins. The game was set long before he walked through those doors. And that's life. That's how it works. But people, they don't like that idea. They hate it. Because admitting they're not in control, that terrifies them more than anything. More than death, more than failure, more than the dark. So they lie to themselves. They say, no, I make the choices. I'm the master of my fate. And oh, how fragile that little delusion is. One wrong move, one unexpected twist, and the whole thing comes crumbling down. You ever seen someone try to fight the inevitable? It's like watching a fly trapped in a spider's web. Oh, they struggle. They wriggle, they pull and twist, thinking if they just try hard enough they can break free. But the more they fight, the tighter it gets. The web wasn't built for escape. It was built for the fight. It was built to catch them. And when the spider finally comes crawling down, they realize something. They were never getting out. They were never in control. People love their plans. They love their dreams, their 5-year goals, their checklists. But life doesn't care about your plans. Life flips the board, scatters the pieces, and laughs while you scramble to pick them up. And yet, people still keep pretending, still keep telling themselves they've got it all handled, that they're in charge, but they're not. They never were. And the ones who figure that out, well, they stop struggling, they stop pretending, they sit back, watch the show, and maybe, just maybe, enjoy the joke. People are funny little creatures. Always in a hurry, always rushing somewhere, like the world's gonna run out of time if they don't move fast enough. They can't sit still, can't wait. It eats them up inside. That itch, that need to do something, anything, just to feel like they're in control. But you know what happens when you move too fast? You trip, you fall flat on your face. And the world, it doesn't stop to help you up. It just keeps spinning, laughing while you pick the dirt out of your teeth. You ever watch someone in a rush? They're a mess, sweating, shaking, stumbling over their own feet. They think if they just push harder, move quicker, they'll get what they want. But that's not how the game works. The game's patient. The game waits. And the ones who win, they know when to sit back, when to hold still. Because when you're too busy running, you miss things. Important things. The cracks in the system. The little details everyone else is too distracted to see. But people, no, they don't want to hear that. They want it now, fast, easy. And when they don't get it, they panic. Impatience, it's like a sickness. Eats away at your mind, makes you reckless, desperate. You start cutting corners, skipping steps. And that's when it all goes wrong. You think you're getting ahead, but really, you're walking straight into a trap. And the best part, you don't even see it coming. Not until it's too late. You ever watch a guy try to force his way through life? It's like watching a rat in a maze. He scurries left, then right, banging his head against every wall, thinking if he just moves faster, he'll find the way out. But the maze doesn't care how fast he moves. It's already built. It's already decided. People can't stand to wait. Makes them nervous. Makes them squirm. Give them 5 minutes of silence and they start talking. Talking just to fill the void. They'll say anything to break the tension, even if it destroys them. And that's the trick. You let them run themselves ragged. Let them twist themselves into knots, because the more they push, the easier they are to break. All it takes is one wrong move, one little mistake, and everything they've built comes crashing down. And you just sit back and watch. Easy. You ever see a spider? It doesn't chase its prey. It doesn't run around like a fool. It just waits. Still. Quiet. Patient, because it knows sooner or later something's gonna walk right into its web. And when it does, that's when the fun starts. But people, no, they're not spiders. They're flies, buzzing around, trying to force their way through life and wondering why they keep getting caught. They don't understand. Sometimes the best move is no move at all. But tell people to wait, and they lose their minds. They think if they're not doing something, they're falling behind. They hate the idea that things might happen on their own time, not theirs. But you know what's funny? The ones who wait, really wait, they see things no one else does. They spot the cracks, the weak spots, the perfect moments to strike. And when they move, oh, when they move, it's over. Just like that. No fuss, no mess, clean. But the impatient ones, they burn themselves out. Chase every little thing until they're too tired to see what really matters. It's like watching someone play a game they don't understand. They think if they press all the buttons fast enough, they'll win. But they never stop to learn the rules. Never stop to figure out how the game really works. And that's why they lose. Every single time. Meanwhile, the patient ones, they wait. They watch. And when the moment's right, they make their move. One step, just one, and the whole board shifts. But people don't want to hear that. They want shortcuts, quick fixes. They think if they move fast enough, they can outrun the consequences, but that's not how it works. Sooner or later, everything catches up. Every mistake, every rushed decision, it all comes back around. And when it does, oh, it's a beautiful thing to watch. Because while they were busy scrambling, the ones who waited, well, they already won. People like to think they know when things should happen now. Right now, they tap their fingers, pace back and forth, watch the clock like they can make it move faster just by staring at it. But time doesn't care. It doesn't speed up just because you're impatient. It moves how it wants, when it wants. And the ones who think they can force it, oh, they learn the hard way. They push, they shove, they claw at the doors that won't open, and when they finally do, they're either too tired to walk through or they realize it wasn't their door to begin with. It's funny, people pray for something, beg for it, scream at the sky for it, give it to me, I'm ready. But are they really? See, they think they know what's best. They think they know when the moment is right. But life's got its own schedule. And life is never early, never late. It arrives exactly when it's supposed to. But try telling that to someone who's desperate. Oh, they won't listen. They'll push forward, stumble, bleed, break, all because they thought they could rush the clock. And that's where the real fun begins. You ever see someone plant a seed and then scream at the dirt, grow faster! They water it too much, dig it up to check if it's sprouting, smother it with their own impatience. And what happens? It dies. It never had a chance, not because it wasn't meant to grow, but because someone didn't trust the timing. That's what people do. They kill what's meant for them because they can't sit still and let it come when it's ready. The ones who get it, oh, they're different. They don't rush. They don't force. They sit back, smile, and watch the pieces fall into place. And when the time is right, exactly right, they step in. Just one move and everything clicks. No struggle, no wasted effort, just perfect effortless motion. And the ones who forced it, the ones who wasted their time trying to pull the future into the present, oh, they're left in the dust, wondering why nothing ever works out for them. See, timing is a funny thing. It's like a puzzle. You can't just jam the pieces together and expect it to look right. You have to wait for the right piece, the right moment, the right fit. But people, oh, they're impatient. They try to force something that isn't ready, and when it falls apart, they blame the world. They scream at the sky, "Why me? Why doesn't anything work for me?" But it wasn't the world that got it wrong, it was them. They moved too soon. You ever see a lion hunt? It doesn't chase after every little thing that moves. No, no, no. It waits. It watches. It knows the right moment, the exact second to strike, and when it does, oh, it doesn't miss. But the fool who runs at the first sight of movement, oh, he tires himself out, wastes his energy, chases shadows, and in the end, he's the one who goes hungry. That's how life works. The ones who trust the timing, the ones who wait, they always get what's meant for them. And the ones who don't, well, they just keep running in circles, chasing things that were never meant to be theirs in the first place. And the best part, the real kicker, they'll never understand why. They'll blame bad luck, fate, anything but themselves. They'll never see that the only thing standing between them and what they want was their own impatience. People like to think they're the ones rolling the dice, that they're the ones deciding where the pieces fall. But the truth is, the game was rigged long before they even sat at the table. Oh, they shuffle their little cards, place their little bets, thinking they've got a say in how this all plays out. But fate's the dealer, and the dealer always wins. You ever see a man try to fight what's coming for him? It's funny, he sees the signs, feels it creeping up his spine, but instead of accepting it, he panics, runs left, runs right, ducks, dodges, thinking he can outmaneuver something that was written long before he was even born. It's like watching a puppet try to cut its own strings, cute but pointless, because no matter how fast he runs, no matter how hard he fights, fate's already there. Sitting in the corner, smiling, waiting for him to catch up. People like to pretend they have choices, that they're in control. If I do this, then that will happen. If I work hard, I'll get what I want. If I plan everything just right, nothing can go wrong. Ha! That's the real joke, isn't it? They act like life is some kind of equation, like they can solve it with enough effort, but the ones who know, the ones who really know, oh, they understand. It doesn't matter how carefully you build your house of cards. One gust of wind, and it's all gone. And that gust, that's fate playing its little game. You ever watch dominoes fall? One piece tips, just one, and the rest, they don't stand a chance. But the first piece, oh, that was set up long ago, before you even knew the game had started. And yet people still try to stand up in the middle of the fall, thinking they can stop it, thinking if they just push hard enough, they can change what's coming. But the weight of what's already been set in motion, it's too much. One wrong step and they're right back where they were always meant to be. You ever notice how some people seem to get everything without even trying? They walk through life like the road was paved just for them. And others, oh, they fight, they struggle, they push against the current, and still they get nothing. Why? Because it was never about effort, never about how hard they tried. It was about where they were supposed to end up. And that was decided long before they even knew they were playing. People like to say, I make my own luck. Ha! That's rich. If that were true, everyone would be sitting on a throne, but they're not. Most of them are scrambling in the dirt, trying to play a game that was never in their favor. They think they can cheat fate, that if they work late, if they save every penny, if they smile at the right people, shake the right hands, life will go their way. But fate? Fate doesn't care about their little efforts. Fate decides when the doors open and when they stay shut. And the ones who don't get that, oh, they spend their whole lives trying to pick locks that were never meant for them. You ever watch someone drown? They thrash, they fight, they claw at the water, thinking if they just struggle hard enough they can stay afloat. But the more they fight, the deeper they sink. And the ones who survive, they're the ones who stop fighting, who go still, who trust the current to take them where they need to go. But that's the problem with people. They don't trust the current. They think they know better than the tide. Some people, they sit back. They let the pieces fall where they may. They understand the game. They know they're not the ones making the rules. And when fate comes knocking, they don't run. They don't fight. They just smile, tip their hat, and walk right through the door that was always meant for them. But the rest, oh, the rest will keep running, keep fighting, keep screaming at the sky, never realizing they were always exactly where they were supposed to be. People love to act like they see everything, like they've got it all figured out. They wake up, go through their little routines, follow their little plans, thinking they know what's coming next. But the truth? Oh, the truth is, most of them are blind, walking through life with their eyes wide shut. They think they're making smart moves, calculated decisions, but really, they're just reacting, jumping at shadows, running in circles, chasing something they don't even understand. And that's the best part, because the ones who don't see, oh, they always fall first. You ever watch a magician work? It's all about distraction. Look here, not there. Watch this hand. Don't worry about the other. And people, oh, they fall for it every time. They focus on what they think matters, never noticing the real trick happening right in front of their eyes. Life's the same way. You move too fast, you blink, you get caught up in the wrong details, and just like that, you miss it. The one thing that could have changed everything. But people don't like to hear that. No. They want to believe they're too smart to be fooled, that they see it all. But if that were true, oh, they wouldn't be where they are. You ever see a cat watching a mouse? It doesn't pounce right away. No, it waits, stays still, watches, because it knows the second it moves, the mouse will run. So it takes its time, studies the pattern, waits for the perfect moment, and when it strikes, oh, it's over before the mouse even knows what hit it. But people, no patience. They jump too soon, make a move before they've seen the whole board, and that's why they lose every single time, People walk into situations thinking they've got all the information they need. They assume, and assuming, oh, that's where the fun begins. They don't ask questions, they don't pay attention, they just act. And when it all falls apart, oh, the excuses they make. I didn't see it coming. How was I supposed to know? That's the thing, though. They were supposed to know. But they were too busy moving, too busy running, too busy trying to force things to go their way instead of stopping just for a second and looking. You ever watch a man play chess against himself? He thinks he's so clever, so ahead of the game. He moves a piece, then another, countering his own moves like he's some kind of mastermind. But the problem, the problem is he can't surprise himself. He already knows what's coming next. He's making moves without really thinking, without really seeing, and that's exactly what people do. They assume they know the other side of the game, but they don't. They move blindly, guessing, hoping, wishing, instead of watching, instead of waiting, and that's why they lose before they even begin. You ever see someone walk into a trap? It's not always obvious. Sometimes it's a slow process. A little step here, a little mistake there. They don't notice it at first. They keep walking, thinking everything's fine, thinking they're in control. And then, the moment they realize they're caught, it's already too late. But the signs, the signs were always there. They just weren't looking. Most people, they don't observe. They react. They move without understanding. They think they know the game, but they never stop to watch how it's really played. And that's why the ones who do watch, they're always 2 steps ahead. They see the cracks, the weak points, the hidden doors. And when they make their move, it's not rushed, it's not desperate, it's perfect, because they knew exactly when to strike, exactly when to step forward, and everyone else, they're just scrambling to catch up, wondering why they never saw it coming. People love to think they're in control. They wake up, stretch, sip their coffee, and step out into the world, thinking they're the ones pulling that if they just make the right choices, say the right words, shake the right hands, everything will go exactly the way they planned. But that's the real joke, isn't it? Because control is nothing more than an illusion. A little trick the world plays on you to keep you running, chasing, grasping at something that was never really there. You ever see a man try to hold sand in his hands? The tighter he grips, the faster it slips through his finger. And that's people right there. They think if they hold on hard enough, they can keep everything just the way they want it. But life? Life has other plans. The more they try to control it, the more it wriggles out of their grasp, laughing at their feeble attempts to pin it down. But do they stop? Do they learn? No. They try harder. They push more. And when it all comes crashing down, they sit there shaking their heads, wondering where it all went wrong. You ever watch a fly caught in a web? It struggles, thrashes, fights like hell to break free. But the more it struggles, the more tangled it gets. And the spider just waits. Because it knows, sooner or later, that fly is going to wear itself out. It'll be too tired, too weak to fight anymore. And that's when the real fun begins. People, they're no different. They waste all their energy trying to control things they never had power over in the first place. And by the time they realize it, it's already too late. You ever hear someone talk about their plan? Oh, it's always so neat, so perfect in their heads. First I'll do this, then that will happen, and then everything will fall right into place. They think the world works like a little checklist, like if they just follow the steps, they'll get exactly what they want. But life doesn't care about their lists. Life doesn't follow their schedule. Life doesn't knock politely and ask if it can come in. No, no, no. Life kicks down the door, turns the table over, and laughs while they scramble to pick up the pieces. And the best part? They'll try to put it all back exactly the way it was, thinking if they just work hard enough they can force things back on track. But the track, oh, that track was never real to begin with. You ever see a man fight the ocean? Stand there, fists clenched, screaming at the waves like he can make them stop? It's funny, pathetic really, because the ocean doesn't care. It keeps moving, keeps crashing, keeps swallowing everything in its path. And the man, oh, he'll keep fighting until he's exhausted, until he's drowning, until he finally realizes he was never going to win. The only way to survive the ocean is to stop fighting it, to let it take you where it wants. But people, they don't like that idea. They'd rather sink than admit they were never in control. You ever notice how some people seem so at peace while everyone else is running around losing their minds? It's because they get it. They know the trick. They don't waste their energy trying to control things they can't. They don't fight the tide. They don't wrestle with fate. They just watch, wait. And when the moment's right, they move with the current instead of against it. And that, oh, that's why they always come out on top, because they understand. The ones who let go, who stop grasping, who stop forcing, oh, they're the only ones who ever really win.